to Hey Girl Hey with Amy.
Agree.
And Kanisha.
This week we have a special guest, Dr. Kanisha Moore. Kanisha, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey y'all, my name is Kanisha Moore. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I went to undergrad with Brianna and Amy, and I am a new PhD in psychology. I'm so excited about it, and I'm happy to be here with y'all today.
Woo woo. We got a doc in the building. Hey.
Very exciting. So today our topic is toxic relationships. So to kickstart it, I want to know what everyone's definition of a toxic relationship is.
Ooh.
Kanisha, why don't you start?
Sure thing. My definition of a toxic relationship is one that's filled with abuse. Whether that is verbal abuse, emotional abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse. If it's riddled with abuse, it's toxic. I think a toxic relationship is one where you can't be yourself, where your boundaries aren't respected, where you always have to kind of bend on your values just to make another person happy. I also think a toxic relationship is one where you feel like you can't be who you are without that person being around. So some codependent type of behaviors, that's also pretty toxic to me.
I agree with that. What do you think, Brianna?
I agree with Kanisha, but I think I more so agree with the codependency where it's like both sides are like, you don't need to be with that person, but you can't let that person go. That person can't let you go. Constant arguing, spitefulness, just basically you just need to let it go, but maybe one person doesn't know how to do it, or you don't want to hurt that person's feelings. I think that's toxic within itself, and I think it can get more toxic over time to the point where it's just like we hate each other. And yeah, pretty much everything Kanisha said, but definitely the codependency, toxic relationships, I think come from both sides. I think more so the abuse might come from one side, but I think the toxic part comes from both, because you stay in a situation, based off a choice, but I think love is what really forces somebody to stay in a toxic relationship.
Do you think it can be a toxic relationship if there's no abuse, and I guess there's no codependency, but you just shouldn't be together? Because I think that could be a toxic relationship. Like, you don't need to be together, and I guess like the arguing would be a sign. But what if just like it's not a match, but you're just there just to be there? Maybe that's not toxic.
I don't know. I think some people are in relationships just because they want somebody. I don't necessarily think that's toxic. I think that could be selfish, if anything, because you have to be whole within yourself to really thrive in a relationship, to be with somebody else. But a lot of people are so focused on, I want somebody, I want them to be around, that they're afraid that if that person is not there anymore, they won't be able to move forward. And it's a big step, I've been there where it was like, I knew I didn't need to be with that person, but it's like, well, how do I move forward without them? Or like, I spend every day with them, and like, now when I go to this place without them, it's going to be so weird. Or when I hear this song and they're not there, it's going to be so weird. But it's like, you don't need to be with them. And every day you wake up, you're like, I really don't need to be with this person. But it's comfortable because they're there. Even if they treat you like crap, it's like, well, at least I come home and he's there. I'm not by myself. But yeah, I think that could be toxic too.
That can be. And yeah, I was going to say, not even necessarily like codependency. The dependency could even be one-sided. Like the other person is like, I don't want to say normal, but the other person is like fine going on about their life, and they don't always need to be around you. But like, the friend who you'll say like, okay, it's a girls' night, and they'll be like, oh, can my man come? Or can he come here? It's like, okay, girl, relax. He doesn't need to be everywhere. You know,
Girls' night, not couples' night.
girls' nights. Like I've heard of people trying to be like bring their man on a girls' trip. It's very weird. Oh, that just happened on Real Housewives.
Yeah.
Remember she brought her husband to the girls' trip? Yeah, that was weird.
And I think that's toxic, though. I think that's a sign of toxicity that shows some distrust. And I think if you're in a relationship where you can't trust your partner, you can't trust that they're gonna do right if they're not with you. So you want to bring them everywhere you are. That's toxic, and you gotta let that go.
Yeah, because what's the real issue you want to bring them? Like, do you really want them around, or you think they're gonna be doing some creeping while you're away? So
that didn't even occur to me. I was thinking it would be the other way. Like the husband is like, "Let me come with you." Yeah, I don't know what you're gonna be doing on this girls' trip. I guess it can go either way.
It could go either way.
But
And
what
that's
if
toxic too, because that's controlling. If I can't go on a trip with my girls without you, that's toxic. That's controlling behavior. So that whole relationship just needs to be thrown in the garbage because it's toxic and it's trash.
Well, that was the one who's with Portia now, so I guess it was thrown in the garbage. They're getting a divorce.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's the one that brought her husband on the girls' trip.
And then her husband engaged to one of the girls.
Yep.
That's
That
terrible.
was crazy.
That's awful.
Do you guys think toxic relationships are toxic in the beginning? Does it happen over time? Like, do you know that someone is toxic when you're dating them and you continue dating them? Like what?
I think there are definitely signs in the beginning, but they appear to be good. Like, oh my God, he wants to see me every day? Like, oh, that's so cute. It feels cute and it's nice, but down the line, I could absolutely see that morphing into like controlling behavior, Or like, oh, I picked these clothes out for you, I picked this out for you, and then it turns into, why you gotta dress like a hub? He wants you to like dress a certain way, stuff like that. So I think there are signs in the beginning, and I think people just ignore them. And I definitely ignored signs. I think we all have.
I was about to say the same thing. I think there are signs in the beginning, but we ignore them. I know I've been in relationships where the signs were definitely there, but I just wanted the person so badly that I ignored the signs. And then it just got way worse. It just got way worse. So, but I think sometimes, we don't recognize it as toxic. Like Amy was saying, we think it's cute, Oh, you want to see me every day? Oh, I must be so special. No, you're not that special. And nobody that special. This person got some stuff going on, and you're about to see in just a little bit, So
Right. Just wait, you'll find out.
you'll find out.
But sometimes, like, have you ever heard those stories about like people who date for a while, they get engaged, everything's great, and then it's like after the wedding, a switch is flipped. Have you ever heard about that? Like, I know people who have said this. Like, I know a girl who was married. She was with her before the marriage. She was with her fiance / boyfriend, whatever, for about 2.5 years, and she said like almost immediately after the wedding, he became physically abusive. But the whole time they were together, he never put his hands on her or anything. Maybe he felt like, okay, now you're locked in, and now I can do what I want. But do you think that there were like truly no signs? And I didn't ask her.
No.
Mm-mm.
And you're never that locked in. Like, just because we're married don't mean I can't leave. The fuck?
Real
Right,
fast.
because they're divorced now. So
Yeah.
No, there has to be signs. Even if they weren't physical signs, maybe he didn't like physically slap her, punch her, or whatever, but there was something. Maybe he was a little aggressive, or, the comments, or like verbally something. I don't just think someone wakes up after being married and says, oh, today I'm going to beat my wife up. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, he was probably like verbally abusive or something like that, or he would like, I don't know. But I don't see a person just flipping a switch and you're married, you say I do, and then you go home and he slap the food out you. I just don't. I just I just don't see that happening. It had to have been a sign somewhere.
Probably right. I didn't want to ask her and be like, "Well, you really didn't see any signs, girl. I mean, really?"
That's not.
So, but y'all are probably right. Y'all are probably right. That's on those.
Does anybody have any stories of any toxic relationships that they've been in?
I was about to say, I have two funny stories, and I meant to say one for story time. So I'll tell you about two guys. So the first funny story is, well, the story time, the first guy. So last summer during quarantine, I think I had mentioned this, like I was dating this guy for a few months, and everything was cool. He lived close by, so we would see each other pretty often. And we first started dating when everything was closed. So the first few dates were like park dates or like, let's go here or there, whatever, but not in the house. But then after a while, it's like, okay, like, what else is there to do? Everything's shut down, so we started hanging out in the house. And then at that point, we started seeing each other like, literally like 5 times a week because he lived right there. So everything was like hot and heavy for a couple months. Then we had like some issues dealing with like his ex, and they had to have a conversation and this and that, and then he slept with her, and then I was like, okay, this shit is crazy. But I kept talking to him because he was like, no, I really want to date you, and the girl lived across the country, right? So eventually, he and I kind of fizzled out. Like, we were together one morning, we both have dogs, we walked our dogs, we said bye, and we never spoke again. Which is crazy. Now, that was definitely a toxic situation. That was a year ago. A few days ago, I was walking my dog, and I see some man waving at me from across the street, and it was him. And I was like, oh my God. It was so random because we hadn't spoken in a year. Like, really, it was like a, what's it called? Like cold turkey type of thing. And he waved me over, and I was like, hey, like, how are you doing? He was there with his dog. I had my dog. And we kind of, like, chatted for a few minutes, and I was like, yeah, I'm surprised I haven't seen you around, because, like I said, we live, like, 3 blocks apart. And he was like, yeah, you know, I've been, like, in the house getting fat. And he really did get pretty chunky. He really did. And I was like,
That's what he did.
Like, yep. He was like, oh, I see you've been working out, because I was coming right from the gym when I walked my dog, and I was like, yeah. It was very vindicating. But I don't really care about him one way or the other, to be honest. But also, his dog has a tumor. It's like really sad. It's just a really sad story. This turned into a sad story. But my point is, it was a toxic little situationship. We didn't speak for a year, and then I bumped into him in the street. So
She was with him every day.
every day, like, even doing like menial stuff, like, oh, we need groceries. Okay, let's go shopping. Like, oh, we need to go to Target. Let's go shopping. And it's crazy how, like, I can be so into someone one day, and the next day I'm like, because really, after that last hangout, we never spoke again, and I never had a desire to contact him. And I guess he didn't have the desire either, so that's fine. Yeah.
See, I don't get over people that fast.
I don't know what it is. And I was talking to my other friend, y'all know, Ashley, and I was like, Ashley, I don't think I've ever been so into someone that I would be hurt or sad if we weren't dating anymore, except for, I won't say the name, but this toxic relationship that I'm about to tell y'all about, that y'all know all too well. I was dating this guy during law school, after law school, after that, y'all already know. It was a mess. Like, it was a mess. Like, thank God for girls, okay? Because I was on him. I think I might have loved him. On him. He picked out kid names. He talked about marriage and all this stuff, but we were never even in an official relationship. Now, how toxic is that? How are you talking about marriage and kids names, and we've never even become boyfriend, girlfriend? It was so toxic. We got into, like, a big argument at, like, Barrister's Ball, which is, like, the law school prom, made a scene, and went
I
home
remember.
together. That night. Just crazy, crazy. And I was on him. And like when I was younger, so this all started when I was like 23. When I was younger, and I think a lot of women are this way, it's like if a guy is kind of like an asshole, but then he's sweet, you're kind of like, oh, okay. And you kind of like it. But then you're like, well, damn, you want to be an asshole? And then he like kind of is sweet to you again. You know, it's like very cyclical. And now I'm like, okay, if you want to be an asshole, bye. Like, I can't do it. I can't do it. But I've definitely dealt with toxic relationships. And I think that might be why, like, now my tolerance is so low. It is so low. Like I said, I can be very into you one day, and the next day I'm like, no, okay, well, bye. You annoyed me.
Why don't you think you guys ever made it official?
Oh, I know why. Because I was dating one guy when I started talking to this one, and I kind of like kept them separate. And he was upset. He was like, oh, so you talking to him? Oh, so you're dating him? And even for like, I'm gonna say at least a year, he was like, oh no, because you dated that one. Even after I hadn't fucked with the other guy for 11 months, he still was like, no, because you were dating him behind my back.
11 months?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Sir.
please. If he couldn't get over that, he should have just left you alone.
Leave me alone. Please don't waste
That
my
whole
time.
year of law school, that before they graduated, he was like, oh no, 'cause you were dating him, and you know, blah, 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 behind my back, which I did, but I agree with y'all. Now that I'm older, it's like, okay, if you really care that much, then stop talking to me. But that was that. I guess he felt, I mean, I like you enough to keep dating you, but you played me at the beginning, so I'm never going to play you. Like, I'm not going to talk to you.
But you didn't really play him because y'all weren't official. You were single. You were seeing. You were dating.
You were dating,
So
yeah.
it's not, you didn't play him. It's not like he was your man and you cheated. Like,
Right, that's why I didn't say cheated, but I definitely think I played him. I'm smiling in your face when I'm talking to this other guy right here who's also in your face, like, you know, talking to you.
oh, I
and
think
he's
it's
like,
that piece. I think it's the piece that they knew each other. That kind of.
That's what it is,
It
definitely.
was that piece.
Because if there was no connection,
Mhm.
why are you mad?
Right.
But now it's like, you live and you learn, you know, sorry. Sorry.
Mhm.
If it was meant to be, we'd be together. Now we've been blocked for years. So. I hope it's not meant to be.
Now we've been blocked from.
Yeah, years.
Mhm.
What's that? But yeah. So what are y'all stories? Tell us that you.
Oh boy, well, y'all know I have plenty of stories from the same one person. Oh my god.
At least you can recognize it as toxic. Though. I feel like that's like the first step.
That, yeah.
Some people don't even realize stuff is toxic.
I knew it was toxic from the very beginning. Like I knew it was toxic.
Oh, really?
6 weeks in, I knew it wasn't for me. But I continued, and it lasted like 3 years. And then after the third year, it was no longer tied up, but we were still trying to figure things out. Which really was nothing to figure out. I really should have just been done with it. I should have been done with it 6 weeks in, but you know.
I don't want, or unless you're comfortable, you don't have to get that specific. But 6 weeks in, did you notice toxic behaviors, or was it just like, this isn't the person for me? I might as well just cut it off. Or was it like
I noticed
actually bad stuff?
it was toxic behavior. So like, okay, so what's toxic for me? You know, some people may think, oh, that's not bad, but I'm a very sensitive person, and I don't do well with all the yelling and all the cursing. Like, don't do that. I don't talk to people like that. Don't talk to me that way. And this was a person who was very critical of other people, and in everything was just so harsh and hard and aggressive. And I saw that early. I first noticed it 3 weeks into dating. And then by the 6th week, I was like, okay, I can't. This, you know. But I stayed. And it just got more and more toxic as the years went on.
But in the 6 weeks or in the 3 weeks, did you ever make it known that you didn't like that behavior? Because, like you said, some people are okay with that.
I made that known from the very first date. The first date, I noticed that he used a lot of profanity, and I said, "Woo, you cuss a lot." And then he was like, "Oh, is that a thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not really, I understand you're a grown man. I'm not gonna dictate how you talk, but I do think there's a certain verbiage you should have around, a lady than you would have like with your boys or something like that. No separation for him, no differentiation. Just it had gotten to a point where I went to him and I told him, I said, the way that you speak causes me to feel like a low class woman. I don't know how much longer I can deal with this. That was early on. Like within the first few weeks, I mentioned, like I tried to make it playful. And so I was like, for every curse word, you owe me $1. And I was keeping a track of how often he cursed and how often he yelled. And so for every curse word, he gave me $1. For every time he raised his voice, he gave me $2. In a week, I had I think I had $175.
Damn.
In the first, and that was in 1 week. Yeah. But see, it's different. So, like, if somebody is just cursing, like, they just say something, it's just, whatever. It's just a part of the sentence. Whatever, okay, that's fine. For him, it would be like, it would just be so aggressive. And, like, it was one of those things where he would be talking about something, and he would refer to women as the B word, and hoes, just all kinds of stuff. And I would be like, do you not like women very much? You do realize I'm a woman. Your mom was a woman. Why do you talk so bad? But that was a lot. That was a very toxic relationship that I stayed in for far too long.
I think sometimes guys that speak like that or like act like that, they've never had a woman to correct them. And when they finally, get connected with one, it's like, well, nobody, ever told me that, or like no one's ever corrected me or said anything. But it's like you said, you're a lady, you don't like to be spoken to like that. Now, if you're having fun and y'all are laughing and joking, that's different, But if we're just having a conversation and you sitting over here calling my friends hoes and bitches, like, chill out. Like, you need to calm down because, first of all, you don't know them, and that's personal. You know what I mean? And so, no, you're not going to address my friends as bitches and hoes, and no, you're not going to call other women bitches and hoes because at the end of the day, I'm a woman, and when I'm not in your presence, do you also address me that way to your friends? Like, do you say, I'm going to see my bitch? Or, I'm chilling with my bitch? Like, no, I don't. You need to get out of that habit. So I just think sometimes men have never been corrected. Like, they think that's okay. And it's not. And when you say something to them, it's like, oh, you're trying to change me. No. There's a certain verbiage you have around your woman, and there's a certain verbiage you have around your homeboys. I'm not your homeboy. So
I wouldn't even know, because in that toxic relationship, I had never even met his homeboy. So I don't know how he talks about women in front of his homeboys. Another thing that made the relationship pretty toxic.
And I remember you told me, you never, even to this day, you still haven't met any of his friends. So that's really disturbing.
That is disturbing. And
like,
I know
you wonder if him and his friends was lovers. Because I'm like, what's what is the secret? Y'all giving on each other, so why I can't come around? That's what I was trying to figure out.
That's true, but also, like, I know you met his family, and generally, like, if I had to pick which one is more important, meeting your friends or your family, I'm absolutely going to think meeting your family is more important. So I would be kind of conflicted, like, I would be concerned, like, it's been years, why have I not met your friends? Like, they live right there. But knowing someone's family, like, that's a huge deal to me. I do not introduce people to my family, unless it's like,
And that was one of the reasons why I didn't make such a big deal about it, because I was like, okay, I've met this person's entire family. So, okay, clearly, I'm not a secret. I've met his family. But then sometimes I'm like, there's a certain level of truth that you have to have in front of your parents or your aunts or uncles or whatever. But when you're with your friends, oftentimes you're your most authentic self. And I'm like, there's a part of you that I don't feel like I'm being able to see or experience. And I wonder why not. Like, I wonder what it is. You know, I don't know. It was just a lot. I had a whole lot of questions that never got answered. Um,
Did he ever say why he didn't introduce you to his friends? I'm sorry.
he told me that, so he said that he didn't like the environment. And he said, because, okay, so I'm afraid of, I'm scared of dogs, right? And he said, well, my friend has a dog. And I'm thinking, like, I got a bunch of friends with dogs. So when I come over, they put the dogs away. But okay. So, and then,
Well, you
like,
don't need to cook in the house. You guys can all go to a restaurant or a place.
something, right? Yeah. And then he said, so he was a smoker, and he said that, you know, his friends had smoked, and I don't. And I'm just like, okay. Yeah, I mean, my friends do it. Like, I'll not go and hang out with them because they, you know, it was just a lot of excuses. So basically, he didn't like the environment because there were dogs, and he didn't want to have to ask his friends to put the dogs away, and because people were smoking, and I'm not a smoker, even though he smoked around me all the time.
Yeah, that's a mess.
It's foolish. It was just a bunch of crap.
It's not. It's like we live and we learn, and like certain things that we tolerated or experienced with prior people. Now we know, like, I'm sure if you were to meet somebody just like him in a month and he did the 3-week, 6-week thing, I'm sure you would be out after that. Like,
real fast.
you're
You're not the one, dog.
Gotta go. Gotta go.
The one.
like, that's it. Just cut it off. So
Yeah.
I kind of feel like every time you date somebody and you break up, it's like a lesson learned because you just learn like what you don't want. So it wasn't a waste of time.
It wasn't a waste of time, and I think that's the tricky thing about toxic relationships is that there's always something that's good about it. You know, something that you enjoy and you don't want to let go of, and so you like, okay, when I weigh this out, yeah, this stuff sucks, but I really enjoy this thing here, so I'm gonna stay put so I can continue getting this thing. I know that's what I did. You know. And then, like, I sat with myself for a little while and I did some reflecting, and I really realized that everything that kept me in that toxic situation, it was all physical. One, I really enjoyed that person's family. So that was one thing that kept me connected. And the second thing was that I was very physically attracted to him. He was like my own little Thor, so to speak. I liked him a lot. And I'm very, like, physically affectionate, and so that physical touch, that's what he wanted. That was the way that he showed love. So he liked to give massages and things like that and cuddle. And that's what I enjoy. So, like, I wanted to keep those things. But in order for me to keep those things, I had to also keep the toxic things. And then I got to a point where I was like, this is breaking me. Like, I really got to a point where I was like, who is Kanisha? Because I feel like I'm losing myself. And I can't do this anymore. I just can't. It's becoming too much. And as sweet as I am, when I get pushed to a place, I act for food. And I did not want to act for food because I promised my mama and the good Lord that I would act for food on no man no more. So I had to walk away. It had to be done.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, walking away is a good thing. When you realize, like, that's another sign of a toxic relationship. I don't know if you said this earlier. Like, you're losing yourself and you don't have, like, your own identity or your, I guess, original identity. Like, you shouldn't be changing into a person that they want you to be unless it's, like, something for the better. Like, they're helping you to better yourself. But if you don't even know who you are in this relationship, it's like, what am I doing?
And, like, lucky for you, you know, you figured that out before marriage and all that stuff. Because, you know, some people get down the aisle and then, you know, like Amy said, the next week, you know, they don't want to be with that person anymore. They realize, like, this person is really not for me. And, you know, even though you were with him 3 years, you learned a major lesson. And, like, for me, my most toxic relationship was Brandon. I don't know if you guys remember him. Who I met at the gym. I was very in love. Very in love. He was super sweet, but just raised very differently than me. Kind of a little thug. But like his mom was murdered, and that really took a downward spiral on our relationship because it brought the toxic out of him. It brought the toxic out of me. He started drinking. He quit his job. It was just so much. And I felt like I was fighting so hard to get back to that person that I really, really liked in the beginning. But he was not that person anymore because death changes you. And losing a parent is something that I've never experienced. So me trying to empathize with him, yes, I can feel for you, but I don't necessarily understand what you're going through because I still have both my parents. You know what I mean? So when I would come in and you're passed out drunk on the floor, I don't know what to do. Like, what do? I can tell you it's going to be okay. I can give you a hug. I can, pray with you. But it's like, you're not even in your right state of mind. So I'm killing myself trying to make sure you're good. But now I'm losing myself. So it's like, what do I do? Then you start talking to some ex, and keep me up late at night, wondering where you are, what you're doing, not answering the phone. And so it's like, luckily, again, I figured that out before a lot of things happened. But that was a very hard time for me because not only did I grieve the relationship, I was grieving, his family still contacting me, wanting me to, because I was such a good girl for him, and I'm such a good person. But it's like, no, I'm breaking up with him, I have to break up with y'all too. Like, it's over. And that was very difficult for me to let go of because the kids, his niece and nephew, would call me and be like, Bree, when are you coming to pick us up? And I want to say, never. Like, I'm not coming to get you guys. Like, I can't, but it was something that I had to disconnect from. That was so hard. And like, even now, I'm like, I thank God that I went through that because now I know to look out for stuff like that and realize that you have to go through those hard times with your person to see, like, how do they deal with stress? How are they when they're angry? How do they deal with death, But being young and dealing with that, yeah, that was hard.
Yeah, that's rough. And you made a good point. Like, a lot of people, when they break up with their partner, they keep in touch with the partner's family. And I think you made a good point. Like, I feel like if you're going to break up with someone, you need to break up with the family too. Like, no contact. That's like crossing a line. You can't do that.
Yeah, because I'm going to show up at the birthday party and then, with my new man. Like,
exactly.
No, I did that before. That was I was trash. I did that before. So I was dating this guy. We had broken up or whatever. And his family members invited me to a party. And I showed up with my new dude. Awful. Just there. But I was young. I wouldn't do it at this point.
Because you know exactly what they're trying to do. Like, they're trying to get you and that person in the same space to talk or whatever. No, it's over. Like, it was like 2 or 3 years after me and Brandon broke up, and I was still getting the birthday party invitations, graduation, come to the dance recital, the football game. I'm not coming. I'm literally not coming. And then the girl he tried to play me with, I'm at the restaurant with Troy, and she's our server. And I was just like, what the heck? I cannot get away with this boy.
That's hilarious, actually.
But I was laughing because I'm like, not to say that serving is beneath anybody, but I'm like, you literally like played me, and this girl's my waitress. Like, this is what you wanted. Like, this your girl, and you gonna stick beside her, whatever. But do your thing.
I know with the family stuff, like, so before me and my ex were completely done, like, he kind of like ostracized me from his family. And I think he was doing it as some weird form of punishment. Because when I really sat down and I reflected on it, he had some, like, I'm not going to give him a diagnosis or anything like that, but he definitely had some characteristics of, narcissistic. He has some narcissistic tendencies. I'm not going to diagnose him with no personality disorder. But, so I don't know if it was some weird form of punishment because he knew how much I cared about his family and how close we were. And so he kind of like ostracized me from them. He was like, nah, you can't come over. Nah, you can't come to the function. Just like was telling me, no, I couldn't come over. And I was like, why? Why not? And he was like, so his brother had recently ended his relationship, and he was like, well, I don't want you coming over here to trigger my brother and make him want to go back to his ex. And I'm thinking like, now what in the world, me being over here chilling with your folks, got to do with your brother wanting to be back with his ex? If that's something he chooses to do, it's because it's what he wants to do. But
What?
yeah, it makes no sense, right?
What?
It makes absolutely.
Am I misunderstanding? Wait, y'all were broken up and then he.
We were still together. This was before we had.
So why would a current girlfriend? I thought you were saying like you're his ex,
No.
and if you come, he'll start thinking about his ex. Okay,
No.
yeah.
Me and the guy were still together. And he had just got to this point where he was like, nah, you can't. And it was so bizarre because 3 weeks before, I was literally over there every day. Like every day. I was just there. I was there all the time. And then it was getting in the way of like how I was studying and stuff with school. So I was like, I really need to go home. All my stuff is there. I can't comfortably study and do the things I need to do in this space. And I was like, but I'll be back on the weekend kind of thing. And then he was like, no, don't worry about it. Don't bother. I'll just come to you. And I was like, oh, okay. But then it turned into no, you can't come. Like, after that, I never went back over there. Like, never saw his folks again. Like, besides like on social media or something like that. But what he thought was some weird form of punishment, I'm assuming, really made it easier for me to be done with them. Because they were really the glue. They were the thing that was really keeping me connected to him. So I say what the enemy meant for my bad, God meant for my good. Praise his name. Hallelujah.
I haven't heard that one.
That's what the old people say at church.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, you always have a word. Me too. Okay, so before we get to the listener letter, what is the takeaway from this conversation?
Well, I think we're all in our 30s now and single. So, and even if you're dating, I just think that you just have to be vigilant and recognize those red flags early and realize that there's other fish in the sea. Like, just because you like somebody, don't overlook those big red flags. Like, if somebody is doing something that you know that you don't like and you've addressed it and they're continuing to do it, that person is not for you. Like, the respect isn't there, and eventually that behavior is going to turn toxic. And it's not worth it, And if you're in a relationship and that person wasn't showing those toxic behaviors in the beginning, and now they are, it's a choice that you have to make to say, is this something that I want to deal with forever? Or is it bad enough that I need to walk away? So I just think you just need to be more vigilant and recognize those red flags early and follow your heart. I think sometimes we get caught up in, like Kanisha said, looks and just wanting to be with somebody or being comfortable with them because you like them. But those feelings fade. Like, after you stop talking to somebody, you ain't gonna think about them no more, after a month or whatever.
That's so real. That's so real. So, I agree with your points. I think those are all well said. And one thing I say is, and I always think about this, is like, the faster or the quicker you move on and knowing that someone's not the right one for you, the quicker you can find the person who is right for you. Because if you just delay this shit, okay, and you're delaying meeting the right one. So, chop. Once you know it's toxic, get on out. That's my 2 cents.
I agree with everything y'all said. And I also think that it's important not to sacrifice yourself for somebody else's sake. I think, a lot of times we become specifically us women, we become so selfless and we make excuses and we say, oh well, he's trying. He say he's gonna get better. Most of the time, what you see is what you get. And so when it comes to a point where you have to choose yourself versus another person, I would say choose yourself, and what's for you will be for you.
That's a good word.
Yes, put yourself first.
Listener letter?
Yes.
Yay.
Okay. Listener letter. Hey girl, hey. I was wondering if you and Amy had any advice for a woman who wants to learn how to give her man really good head.
Oh my god.
I try and I try, but I don't think I'm any good.
Oh no! Oh no! Amy, you remember undergrad?
What?
I don't want to say, but I don't know.
Don't say.
What? You didn't do anything bad. No, you didn't do anything bad.
Oh, okay.
You've always been a, but you
Give a clue of the thing. Wait, was that the whole letter?
Yes.
Okay. Wait, now I want to know what Kenny's was talking about.
No.
Like a code word.
I'm just saying that was a very fitting letter because, and now,
Fitting letter?
I mean, like, oh Lord, now I'm just gonna have to go ahead and say it, ain't I?
Just
don't
go
know.
ahead. Let us know.
Amy, you remember you taught me in undergrad? Remember?
I need a code word. I need like a clue or something.
I just said.
Oh, is it dick just put in your
Oh, I
mouth?
told you what in undergrad.
What? Greg, what did you say?
What?
Oh, I don't think that was Amy.
That wasn't Amy. That was not Amy.
I remember a story you told me. I remember who that was now. I remember who that was. It was not you.
That wasn't you, Amy. So remember, it was at one of our classmates' baby shower, and you were like, "Oh, never mind, it's fine."
Just say it. Whatever.
Well,
just
remember,
say
we were at one of our classmates' baby shower, and you was basically giving me tips on how to do a good job.
it. Well, I don't remember what. Who was baby shower? Who had a baby
We were at Anita's baby shower.
I don't remember that at all, but I'm sure I did it. Oh my God. What did I say? Do you remember that?
You didn't say nothing. You demonstrated.
Oh.
Oh God.
I'm done.
Sounds like Amy.
Oh boy.
Okay, well, so okay. Well, I'm not gonna be doing that right now. But I think the number one tip is that you have to want to do it. Like, have you ever gotten head from someone and it's like, come on, put some, excitement up in there, No? It's like, come on.
Oh man.
Or if like,
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
or like we talk to some women about it, they kind of talk about it like it's a chore. Like even like her letter kind of made it seem like she sees it like a chore. It's like, I'm trying, but I'm not good. And also that makes me wonder, like, do you have any idea if she's like in a relationship or something?
Yes, this person is in a relationship.
Okay. I mean, so I'm assuming she's doing it to the same person all the time. And if she thinks she's not good at it, I'm guessing he's probably given her some indication like, this is not it. Okay. So maybe, I do think it would be a good idea if she asked him for some tips because, of course, everyone's different, but I'm guessing he's not,
I was gonna say the same thing. She needs to ask him what he likes because everybody's
Right.
different. Some people like sloppy toppy. Some people want I don't know, Lord, I don't know. Some people
think
want you
most
with
of
the
them
kids.
like
Some
sloppy
people want you,
toppy.
you know, in your throat. Like, I don't know.
What you just
I'm
say?
saying, I mean, we're grown. Like, let's just be grown.
Oh my God. That's true. No, seriously, you're right. Like, everybody's different. Everybody likes different stuff. So we can't tell you what your particular boyfriend would like, you know? But I think sloppy toppy is the same thing. A little spit, you know. Most guys like
I think she should be. Maybe she should like loosen up. I don't know if she's not loose or not, but I wonder how comfortable she is with her man, and if she feels free to just let loose and actually enjoy herself while pleasing him. So I think that's something she should consider.
Well, if she's uncomfortable, she can take a little shot.
She can.
Mm. She can. Or I've never used it, but I've heard of these like throat sprays that can like really
Numb your
relax
throat.
your throat. Maybe she should try that if she has like a deep throat problem. I don't know how that would work.
I could not.
Like promote on Instagram. I don't know, but I think the number one tip is you have to be into it. Like, don't be doing that whack shit. And you know, like,
I don't want to do it.
Nobody wants to deal with that. Like you said earlier, we're in our 30s. Like, come on, girl, we're not 14. Get it going.
Get it popping. Get it popping.
What else? Like, could I say?
She can watch some videos.
She should watch some videos, but I feel like a lot of porn is unrealistic. But also, she should hit him with like some surprise head. Like if he's not expecting it, he would love that.
Well, if she doesn't want to do it anyway, I don't think that's gonna work.
Well, she's got to change that whole mindset. That's
Yeah,
the first
she
thing.
need practice. The only way to get better at something is to practice. So she just needs to do it a lot, and then she'll get better.
Well, she said she tries and tries and tries, but I think she's treating it like a chore.
Yeah.
She said, I try, but I don't think I'm any good. Gotta get more confident.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. She has to be more confident. And what you said earlier, Tanisha, like about her being comfortable, that's another good point. Like, I'm guessing she doesn't feel that comfortable. I don't know how long they've been together, but maybe it's like a kind of newish relationship, so she's not completely comfortable yet. And a lot of people who be comfortable or like be more comfortable having sex or like that's like vaginal intercourse than giving somebody head. You know? But yeah. So yeah. Come on, girl.
She should watch that video. Y'all remember that video from years ago, from like, I want to say like 2012, with the woman using the, what do you call it? The orange and the grapefruit. She should find that and she should watch it.
Wasn't her name like Pinky?
I don't know what her name was.
Pinky the porn star?
I think so.
This one, she wasn't a porn star. She was demonstrating on a dildo.
She was a porn star.
Oh, was
That's
she?
the video.
Oh.
The only video, this is not a video, from Girls Trip with the grapefruit, I don't know. Is that what
No,
it is?
this video is like super old.
Yeah, this video is super old, but I think that's where they got it from. It's from that woman.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe she could try that. I think, yeah, just be excited about it and ask him what he likes.
I don't know. He might not want citrus near his genitalia. So, but she should watch the video just for other tips because the woman, she shows things. So.
That's a really interesting question. Wow, I wasn't expecting that.
Nope. I thought it was going to have something to do with toxic relationships.
Okay. Like, okay, not mad at that. Cool. Alright, so anything else on the letter for toxic relationships?
Not today.
Neither. Tanisha, any final words
On toxic relationships?
on anything?
Anything? Well, I'll just stick to the topic. Toxic relationships. Just because a relationship is toxic I want to be very careful with my words. It's important to know when a relationship is toxic versus when a certain behavior is toxic. When the relationship is toxic, it's best to walk away. If the behaviors are toxic, then those can be worked on and changed if both people are willing to work on them and change them. So I think people should really, take some time to assess their situation. Um, and if it's coming to a point where they're feeling battered, and I know it's not easy to walk away once you're being battered, but seek some help to free yourself. If you don't feel battered, but you and your person just argue all the time, then maybe y'all should just seek some therapy because maybe there are some things that y'all can change, and then your relationship can be beautiful. So those would be my 5 points to toxic relationships.
Okay, cool. That's a nice final word. Well, is that it, ladies?
That's all. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank y'all
Yes.
for having me.
Send your listener letters to heygirlhey.pc@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at heygirlhey.pc.
And catch up on all the episodes.
On YouTube at heygirlhey.pc.
No, just Hey Girl Hey. Hey
Oh.
Girl Hey.
My bad. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, girl. Bye.